Hi, and welcome back to Boss Wife. I'm your host, Ebony. Here is where you will get your motivation for the week. Here is where you will get the tools and tips to learn how to play, laugh, and live hard, unapologetically. Here is where you will learn how to erase the lines on the box because you realize you cannot be contained. Here is where you will learn how to show up for yourself. Here is where the most powerful transition will begin in your life. Welcome to Boss Wife. Hey guys, welcome back. So tonight we have a special guest. This person is really dear to my heart. She is a friend of mine, a cousin, a relative, family. She's someone I look up to. LaVida is just a very special person, I believe. And when I thought about this topic that I wanted to talk on tonight, freedom versus equality, she was the first person that came to mind because she has always been the type of person that I know that loves fighting for politics and rights and equality. And I think she's just above board on all of this stuff. And I'm just like a little peon, but I did really want to get her views and her perspective on this topic. Like I said, I really respect what she thinks and what she says and her opinions and views on things. And I don't take it lightly because LaVida is just a few months older than me. And for her to be so endowed with this topic, I feel like, my viewers and listeners need to definitely hear this because all of us are in the same age bracket, same age range, and we deserve to know the truth about things and how each other sees things and how other people in our age bracket, feels and views. And so anyway, the topic tonight is, as you heard before, freedom versus equality. And in 2021, this topic is the most relative topic that I think I could ever come up with, probably. We have faced so many different things throughout, I would just say, just the past 2 years. I mean, things I've never seen things like this before. And I know that there's nothing new under the sun, but I was surprised. I was very surprised. I was watching a show with my daughter the other night, and they had just passed the no-knock warrants law or whatever on this show, and my daughter looked at me and she said, "Can they really do that? Is that real?" And I was like, "Oh, baby, they can and they have done it, and we've lost lives here recently due to the no-knock warrant, and because they get it wrong, and so anyway, not to jump ahead of myself, but that is just a little teaser. That is just what we're going to be talking about on tonight. And I just, I really hope you guys have put the kids to bed. Everything is off. This is all you're focusing on. If you're getting ready for your work tomorrow or preparing your children for the next day, preparing meals, whatever you're doing, just make sure that you're paying attention and that you're listening and really, really getting what we're talking about. I don't take it lightly at all, that I can even call or connect to a close relative of mine across the world and even have this discussion. I don't take it lightly at all. So here it goes, guys. LaVida, how are you?
Hey, baby cousin. You didn't think I was going to let them not know they were related.
I already did in my intro, actually, but I did make a disclaimer that you're only a few months older than me. Right? Yeah, I think so.
Counted by the hour, though, so it's a lot.
So, LaVida, I'm so excited to have you on my podcast tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Hopefully, everybody has put their babies to bed. They're listening. They're tuned in. They're snuggled up on their couch with their coffee or tea, however you guys are planning on going to bed on tonight. But, so, tonight's topic is freedom versus equality. And I invited LaVida on tonight to talk to us because I really value her views, and I really understand. I don't understand as much as she understands because this is what she does. But I wanted to share her views and opinions with you guys, like I said. So LaVida, tell us what do you do? What you do?
Look pretty.
Other than that,
I'm just
that's
kidding,
a given.
Effie.
That's our family, right?
No, I'm just messing with you. So, again, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and I'm so proud of you. Your podcast is amazing, and
Thank
know that it'll
you.
continue to grow. So, what do I do? My technical title is I'm a vice president of diversity, equity, inclusion at a public relations firm. It's still not rolling off the tongue just yet because I've been working there a smooth 5 weeks. And
Well,
yeah, it's been a journey.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. It's God is faithful. It's been a lot. But before that, I've been working in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space for years. And yes, that means before George Floyd died. So that means before racism began. Yes, I'm OG with this. And my job in the past as a consultant, I was helping kind of those agencies kind of in the federal government space, but also helping. I think we had some commercial clients, some oil and gas clients, Fortune 500, Fortune 50 clients, people in the Department of Defense. Everyone's trying to figure out this mystery of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they were like, okay, let's hire in the big guns, because I will say this, just being a person that of color,
Mm-hmm.
especially just being a Black person, does not make you a diversity, equity, or inclusion specialist. It sure doesn't.
No.
You still need to understand kind of the systems, the structures, and the ways to make change. I do. I love doing it. I'm going to end racism. That's my life's goal. If I don't, then I can't die. So here it is.
Love it. I love it. Okay. So we're gonna jump right in. So what is it that, and thank you again for saying that about my podcast. Um my first question for you is, tell me your definition of freedom for our culture.
Define our culture.
Let's just stick with women.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Freedom. Because I was all like, I might. Can I back into it with
You
several other
can.
definitions of things too?
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay. So, because I was like, freedom is
Broad.
this
Mm-hmm.
thing that so few people have. So I was all like, let me back up. The first thing that people usually ask me or kind of misunderstand is the differences between diversity,
Mm-hmm.
equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
Okay, so and I love the way it's been described. Like they're saying, diversity is being invited to the party.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, inclusion is being asked to dance. Equity is when everybody gets a chance to pick the songs that'll be played on the playlist.
Gotcha.
So, kind of thinking about diversity is just strictly representation. Inclusion is now what you say actually matters. And equity is treating you with the same opportunities for advancement and progress.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is different from equality. Equality is, we want to make a very clear distinction between equality and equity, because when you talk about equality, that means everybody is treated the exact same,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds good. The problem is, we don't all come to the table with the exact same plate, fork, knife, and spoon.
That's true.
So if you treat a woman exactly the same as you treated a man who has had all this good male privilege for his whole life, you will still have inequitable outcomes. Flip it to equity. If you bolster the woman with the same privileges and opportunity that man had, now you've got equity and now you've got parity. Then there's belonging. Belonging matters probably a little bit less in this context, but when you're talking about professionally, you want to people to feel like they can relate and they are important and that they feel a connection to their workplace and their peers and the work that you're doing. So that's kind of the diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, equality. Freedom. That's why I was like, this is a very difficult thing, because I was like, have I even met anybody that has freedom?
Well,
Real
please
talk.
explain that. Please explain that.
Because I guess when I think about freedom, I think about what's her name? Was it Nina Simone who said, no fear? And I was just like, stroking my imaginary beard. What does that look like? No fear. And I think about the people that have no fear as those that are unencumbered by any type of societal movement
Mm-hmm.
because they're not being held to these very rigorous standards that other people are. And I think that it's also impossible to have that freedom without extreme financial largesse. So you like even we'll talk about race because I always talk about race. But the people, let's just say like white people
Mm-hmm.
that are poor do not still experience the same exact freedom that Jeff Bezos experiences.
True.
So I think that there's first of all levels to it, but more importantly, it's the freedom to have no fear. And this is including kind of not being held back or and not being oppressed in any way.
Okay.
I hope that was helpful. I feel like I was all over the place,
It
Ebony. I'm
wasn't.
sorry.
It was great. It was great. I do want to go back to something you said about diversity. Um, is
Different
it?
types of diversity?
You said what?
You want to talk about different types of diversity?
Yes, I do.
I should
And
bill you for this. No, I'm just kidding.
we're
No, I'm just kidding.
family. We're family.
All right, this
Um,
is time to swing. Go ahead.
what just give us another like a breakdown of diversity in 2021 for Black women.
I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm glad you asked it that way. Diversity is for everybody. Black women, white women, black men, white men,
It
orange
is.
men, everybody.
It
So
is.
when you think about diversity, diversity is simply representation. People think about diversity, they get really excitable, they get all tight and clenched up, and I'm just like, just relax, because I'm not talking about affirmative action, which is still a good thing. I said it. Or nor quotas. I am saying that diverse experiences is what enriches everything from businesses to the way you do like nonprofit work. And when I say diverse experiences, who you are is so important. Who you are individually, where you come from, your background. So some of the key markers of diversity are your faves: race, ethnicity, which are different. Race and ethnicity can be the same, which often are. They are for us because we experience the world based on our race.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, you can be a white person who's a white race or a black person that's black race and be Hispanic or Latino or like
Right.
Latinx, and that can be your ethnicity. You can also be a white person that's Jewish and your ethnicity is Jewish. It's Jewish, not Judaism, because that's a religion. So, like, kind of thinking about it that way. So, race, ethnicity, gender. That includes like male, female, non-binary. It also includes veteran status. I know. It also includes, I think it includes age. And when I say it includes, I'm talking about those that are federally protected classes.
Mm-hmm.
It does not include weight, which is a whole other issue. And then you have those diversity markers that are not easily seen. So now you got your neurodiversity markers. So that includes our friends that may have autism or be somewhere on that spectrum, and then may also have other mental health disabilities, physical disabilities, another marker of diversity. And then also it includes diversity of thought. But a lot of people like to use that just to be cheap with it. Like, yes, you and I can be the exact same race, come from the exact same hometown, be in the exact same family, and still have very different experiences. So you got diversity of thought as well. But don't be cheap about it and just say, yeah, just because it's all white board, it's all white and all dudes, they got diversity of thought. Probably not. So just you want to think about that as well. So, and the reason why I mentioned that diversity is actually important and not just gimme that Black people keep saying is that it's 2021, just like you mentioned. We are not ever going to go back to leave it to beaver.
Right.
If you want to survive, this is a global economy. And if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Except everybody else is leveling up and they will leave you in the dust.
Right.
So if you don't, you ain't got to be benevolent. You ain't got to be Martin Luther King. You ain't got to be kumbaya. But you're about to lose a lot of money and you're also going to lose a lot of opportunity.
Right. Okay. I love that. I was thinking about when you said diversity in weight, being in the fashion world, I guess, or the, the industry with my modeling studio and everything that just building up to a lot of different things that I'm doing in my different businesses. Like, I still feel, even though the big girl is in now, I don't know if you've noticed that, but I've been paying a lot of attention to that. But um, right,
it's relative. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
even though it's, we're in now, I guess, but um, it still plays a big part in how you get hired on jobs, restaurants where you get seated, like it's still there. I feel like as women, if we don't support each other, I think we're doing a great job now. I think we've come a long way from supporting each other, but I think if we do a little bit better job, and making a significant, what's the word I'm looking for? A significant, I don't know, just making sure that if we open doors for each other, it'll be a little bit more easier. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like as women, we separate ourselves as women, even in color, even in size, even in ethnicity. We still do. I feel like we do. And so my point of view is, of course, eliminate it. Of course, try to put your own prejudices, I guess, aside, because even in looking at myself, like, I have my own prejudice about myself. Of course, we all do. So, but I think we still reflect those onto each other, and it causes the world to see us as the same, and so we kind of hold ourselves back. Does that make sense?
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay.
And you ain't said nothing that I ain't heard before. Okay.
Okay.
But let me challenge you. What if instead of women having to support each other, men would stop oppressing us in our bodies? Do men need to support each other more? No. So I understand what you're saying, and I believe that you're absolutely right in how difficult it is. I actually gained like a significant amount of weight over the past year and a half or so, but I had been fighting with my weight for 25 years. And that's crazy, because that should have been before I was born, right? So diet culture, what I found in kind of doing this work is that all the isms kind of mix in together, right? You got your sexism, your racism, it's kind of all the same, right? So women, I think that women do, it's a way of kind of punching down. Are you familiar with that expression? Like, oh, this will make me feel better. It'll make you feel better because you think that it'll give you more status in the eyes of men.
Right.
So that's the only reason why. So if you weren't worried about that man status, and I'm not one of those people that's just like, you don't need a man, just keep on. Like, I understand how the world works. I understand that men own all the structures, own all the governments, and like own most of the power. So like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, just forget about it and ignore it. It's a very real thing. But I want to put the onus on who it needs to be on, where the blame lies, and that's on men, for seeing us as only our bodies and always trying to make us like these objects of like sexual appeal. Can I walk to the store without somebody saying, smile, girl? My mouth is none of your business. None of your business.
I
Do you
get
say
the
that to
same
men?
thing, right?
No, you don't
Yeah,
say that to men because you don't think that men owe you anything.
that's
So
true.
that's where I want to start kind of the conversation, not from like what can the oppressed do to be slightly less oppressed and like really go into these respectability politics. And we talk about respectability politics for race, but it's definitely for gender. So women all over the world know, like, oh my goodness, I better dress correctly because if a man loses control and sexually assaults me, people are gonna be like, well,
What
what
is
did that
she?
woman do?
Right, that's true.
And women are always, always, always kind of taking the blame for men's downfalls. Fun example, our dear sweet auntie Felicia Rashad. Are you familiar with this is Claire Huxtable,
Yes.
the recent controversy?
No, not the recent controversy.
Okay, so she is dean of something, something, something at Howard University. Good,
Mm-hmm.
good on her. Very, very accomplished. After Bill Cosby got released from prison on a technicality, not because he is innocent,
Right,
because he's not that.
right,
She immediately goes to Rihanna's internet and says, "Ooh, a gross injustice has been righted, or a wrong has been righted, or something." And had to kind of walk it back and be like, "Oh, I stand with victims of sexual assault." So then people were kind of calling to see what Howard University was going to do. Are they going to fire her? Like, are we canceling Auntie Felicia Rashad? And I said, "Oh, the man that was doing the drugging and raping is free,
right.
and you worried about what this woman said." Like, I just want to make sure that the priorities are still the same. So, Ebony, to answer your question, should women support each other? Sure. But I think that women need to hold men accountable.
Okay, okay. We can agree to disagree. I don't agree with that. Um, I
You
I
don't want women to hold men accountable?
I do, but the part that I don't agree with is, and I really don't. I hope no men are listening tonight, but men to do whatever we told them to do. It's like men. Okay, yes, men are definitely visual characters, right? So they are led by what they see. But here's the thing: if women didn't put it out there for them to see, like, of course, if you're walking down the street in a garbage bag, they still gonna try to holler at you or smack your butt or whatever. That doesn't matter. But my thing is, I just don't find men at fault for making women oppressed. I feel like we do it mentally to ourselves. And then I feel like we pass it on to our daughters, and then our daughters go to school and then they hear it from their friends at school because that's what their friends are getting at home. Like, I think it's our own idiosyncrasies and we hone in on them, and then, oh, it's somebody else's fault the way I feel this way. The reason why I feel this way. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we should take on your own personal stuff. Like, don't put it off on nobody else, because yes, men do have most of the power here in the world. They own a lot of things. But if a woman says, hey, this is what's sexy, this is what's in, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go with that. I mean, it sounds really immature, but it's kind of true. Like, men are they think one way. So no, I don't think that they're oppressing women. I think women are oppressing women.
Let's lean into that a little bit.
Okay.
I know you want to talk about freedom, but I think this is really important.
Okay.
So you were saying, from your perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, and I've seen it too. So I'm not like, I've never heard a woman say anything mean. Come on. But like, so from your perspective, is this because you've heard the most disparaging comments about your body from women?
Definitely. Because
Okay.
men are very accepting. I mean, think about it. I mean, look at marriages. When a guy goes out and cheat, he doesn't usually cheat up. You know what I'm saying? Or if he does, is either they're lacking either in mental capacity or physical capacity. It's never above what they actually married. It was what they saw at the moment, and that's what they went for. Um, when men, and I do know that there's a lot of marriages that get in trouble because women gain weight, but men are more accepting to women physical qualities, I think, than women are.
So what's it gonna be, Ebony? Men are very visual creatures and they're led by what they see, and if you put it out there, then it's your fault. Or they're very accepting.
I mean, yeah, what I'm saying is, no, I didn't say if you put it out there, it's your fault. I didn't say that. I'm just saying if you put it out there, of course they're gonna look at it. So it is what it is. You take on whatever comments you want. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not gonna walk outside my house and have my breast half out, knowing that that's the most endowed part of my body, and not expect for nobody to say nothing. Should they not say anything? Yes, they should respect my body and not make a comment. But like I said, men are visual creatures, and they're very easily led by anything you do or say anyway. But no, my point is, women, I think we are harder on ourselves than men are. Now, if a man loves you, yes, he's going to be very accepting to how your body has changed, I think. I'm living proof. I was a size 6 when I married my husband. I'm 16 now, so.
Okay, but she was also 9 years old.
Oh my God, I was not 9 years old. I was 19 when we got married. Okay. But still, like
you didn't have your grown woman weight yet. So.
I didn't. But still, that's not what he married. So are you saying?
Let's back
up. Okay.
We're talking about freedom.
Yes.
I want to argue that freedom from any type of oppressive, your favorite, gaze is a huge one, and it's a privilege that men have that we do not. Mm-hmm. There are no podcasts where two men are arguing about what they should wear because women might attack them, or they may have fewer professional opportunities to feed their families.
That's true.
So maybe and I know you're like, oh, don't put that on men. Men, they have, it was so much care for this one-track mind, poor men that you've already admitted have all power. So so that's why I'm like, okay,
but that's why, because men don't sit in the corner and plot on how they can take down the next guy. Women do.
Oh, okay. So that's where you're going with this. Okay.
Yeah, so? I do. I think so. I mean, women set traps for women. Men, no. They pat each other on the back. They say, good job. They give each other a hand up. Hey, let me put you onto this. Let me help you do this. Women, oh, girl, let me close this door. Let me have this phone call so she don't hear what I'm talking about, or she don't know what's going on in my business. No.
Do you know why?
Why?
And I'm not even suggesting that it's a good thing, but it still is a product of men's oppression. So yes it is.
Okay.
Because when you believe that there's only one seat at the table for your group, then you're gonna fight like heaven,
right,
to get that one seat. But the real question is, as opposed to me being the only woman, the only black woman, the only plus size black woman at the table and trying to hold it all to myself, what about those other seats that are all white guys? The real question is that's where the power is being held, and they're sitting back watching. They can afford to pat each other on the back. They can afford to attaboy each other because everything is working in their favor, and they can be as mediocre as they want, whereas all these excellent minorities over here have to keep battling it out for this one little seat that we allowed them to have.
Right. That's true.
So that's kind of the mentality there. And I know you're like, well, they could be helpful. Yes, they could, within this structure that's keeping all of you all down. And thinking about it is kind of like, if it's only going to be one, then I got to be the one.
Right.
Which is a terrible mentality. We've got to all lift together. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I lose no shine by reflecting on you. Got it. But the big picture, holding men accountable for holding all the seats of power except that one.
Okay. Okay. So my next question is, let's talk about inclusion. That was actually one of the words that I wrote down before I chose equality. And the reason why is because I think we put like you said, we don't really know anybody that's free. And we're going to come back to that too. So, but we put a lot of emphasis on being included in everything. You know, we should be included because we're black, or we should be included because we're women, or we should be included because we're gay, or we should be included because we're white or Hispanic or Mexican, whatever. What is what does inclusion look like to you in 2021? And let's hone in on the pandemic.
What does inclusion in the pandemic look like?
Yeah.
Do you mean like the government's response to the pandemic?
No, like I mean, who was? Do you feel like there was like a chosen during the pandemic? Do you feel like there was a group that was just picked out to be singled out? Let's get all the help, or let's reject them from getting help, or let's blame them for something, or does that make sense?
Okay, I think I got the hang of where you're going with this now.
Okay.
I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Okay.
Yeah, like my friend said that, and I was like, okay. So inclusion, I originally said it's like being asked to dance, but inclusion goes directly hand in hand with representation.
Mm-hmm.
So back to my kind of analogy of the big boardroom of all the decision makers, and there being one female seat, one person of color seat,
right,
and one person with a disability seat.
Right.
So the reason why it's like that is because there was one type of person that got to make that decision, and these were white males with money and education.
Right.
So when they decided, and I'm saying this is an example, but it's pretty broad across all industries, including your nonprofits, including your religious ones. So once they decided, okay, fine, they want to be included, let's give them that 1 or 2 seats over here.
Mm-hmm.
So what that did was make their board more diverse. But now you better believe the woman, let's say what it is, the white woman, the black guy, and then the person with a disability, they do not have any say over what this board is going to do.
Right.
It's a board of usually about a dozen people, and all those other guys are going to be voting together, so you'll never get your agenda pushed. You'll never get to push back on the like, oh, you know what, actually, maybe we shouldn't use like watermelon and big lips for the African American History Month. And because their voices were not included, the representation didn't disseminate to the people that it needed to. So when I think about inclusion, especially as you're talking about kind of COVID-19, it's racism was all throughout this.
Mm-hmm.
This pandemic has been fascinating at bringing all the ugly parts of our nation to the very top. And I'm happy because I kept kind of shouting into the void, and people are like, oh, shut up. Let's just go on let's go with the flow. Let's go along to get along, because it's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's too hard to address these things. It's much easier to just kind of bury yourself in your schedule, your work, your kids, your church, because you got to keep moving, got to keep going, got to keep scratching and surviving, because you're not making enough money and nobody cares, because we're not talking about that right now.
Right.
Pandemic, grinding halt. And I want to say that for as far as inclusion, because the original rumor was that Black people and brown people couldn't get it,
mm-hmm.
we were immediately excluded.
Yep.
And it was great because that thread of exclusion kind of seeped throughout as that rumor immediately became dispelled as a way to not help us.
Yeah.
So again, back to societal problems bubbling all the way up to the top. Black and brown, this is a very, very, very segregated nation. So these Black and brown communities and when I say segregated, I want to be very clear to your listeners. Segregation is not just a personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's from years and years and years of government policy to keep it that way on purpose. Okay, so we got these government policies keeping it that way, and they're separate and super, super unequal. So now you already didn't have access to healthcare as it begins.
Right.
And now there's this new strain of things. Now we can just kind of like ignore you and funnel those resources to the people that we deem matter and care. So I believe, and then it was kind of an afterthought towards the end as we were getting vaccinated. And I want to say, almost essential workers that were not in the healthcare professional were kind of the new black and brown people. Just thought you don't say it. Because it's true. It's true. They're like, oh, essential workers. We're so proud of them. We ordered them a pizza. You get applause. But am I going to get some health care? No.
No.
And then you still don't have to go to work? Yes.
Yeah.
Should you wear a mask 11, 12 hours while you're standing on your feet? And, and it's been so, it was mismanaged, mishandled. And then even I'm talking about black and brown people in the United States, but this is a global issue.
Mm-hmm.
Racism, thank you, transatlantic slave trade. Appreciate you, Europe. Racism is very, very global. So we've got are we talking about Africa? I know that there's over 50 some odd nations in Africa, but there's been many, many places where they were able to control the outbreak. And we just kind of dismissed it because it's just black people.
Right.
Right. And then, of course, the tragedy that we're having in India, where people just dying. They're like, well, we need them to go back to work for the rich people.
Right. That's true.
So I think, so the inclusion piece, the reason why that's important is in the context of kind of coronavirus and 2021 is because you need everybody's voice at the table with equal amounts of power so that communities aren't forgotten.
Right. I love that answer. Thank you. I think I thought it was very interesting when, especially working in the medical field, working in the hospitals and getting to see how everything plays out and getting to see people, some people turned away because maybe the hospital was too full but we know they have COVID, but hey, we can't do anything here for you. So, go home. But obviously common sense to tell you they weren't white, I mean, just seeing different things. It was definitely an eye opener. I would say when I moved to Chattanooga, I was definitely in shock because I was very sheltered growing up, and I think I was. You don't think so? You're so silly.
It's like, wait a minute, get sheltered.
I was.
In what ways?
A lot of ways, because my mama didn't really want to expose me to the hood or, because once we moved out of grandmama's house.
That's what I was going to say, from your grandmama's house?
Right. Right. So once we moved out of South Memphis, she took me out of the rough public schools and tried to put me in the best public school. And, I was in private school.
What school did you go to?
Well, my first public school was Carver High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There wasn't no shelter, but go on. And what was the next one?
Then I went to Ridgeway.
Ridgeway was the good one at the time?
That was the good one at the time because it was extremely diverse. And I think it was one of the most diverse schools in Memphis. You're so funny.
That's the reason why it was good, because you had some white people there?
I guess so. That was... and it was other races there. But yeah, I was very sheltered. We went to the predominantly white church and... most of my friends
Why would white church shelter you in Black Memphis?
You said what?
White church sheltered you in Black Memphis?
It did, because it didn't show me, it didn't show me anything different. It didn't show me I was different. It didn't show me I was separated. It didn't show...
Oh, sheltered from the realities of racism.
Right.
Okay. That's right. What we're talking about. We were looking at Okay.
No. Yeah, sheltered from me being different, from me not knowing who I was or where I belong, and whatever, however that may go. But yes, moving to Chattanooga was a very big shell shock, I would say, because I got smacked with it maybe I think about a year and a half ago. And it became real. And I was like, what just happened? Why are you looking
I want to know. Please show me your ways. I want to know how I, too, could have been sheltered from the realities of racism for 30 some odd years.
Right.
Please.
Right. I have no idea.
This feels like some gymnastics, and I feel like you were doing too much. Maybe I think you were just making excuses for what was happening.
Do you think? I don't think I was.
You left Memphis, and then after leaving Memphis, found racism.
After leaving Memphis, I found because I was a baby in Memphis, so I wasn't really exposed to a whole lot. There wasn't really anything to be exposed to. I had a mama, I guess she took the brunt heat of it. Plus, my mom's man was always white, so there's that. I love you, mama. It was just okay.
I just had to emphatically sip some tea off of that.
But
okay, in little bro. Okay.
So yes. So anyway,
if interpersonal relationships ended racism, we would have never had racism.
That's true.
Got your plantations. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's true.
That's the way I say it. Now, people in the world might say, having sex, you can't have sex away racism. I said having sex because it's the regular way you say it,
right. But it's the regular way.
So But this is interesting. I didn't know that you. I guess I take for granted my experience in Memphis. I do, because even older cousins and whatever, it was still a very different exposure. But this is fascinating. Okay, so you come to Chattanooga. A year and a half ago, you were smacked with it. What were you smacked with?
So I was working on a job that I had been on for like 6 years, and
with your white best friends, because I'm one of your Facebook friends.
Yes.
So I see all the pictures of the birthday parties.
Yes. And we went through a change in the company, and a lot of things started changing. Well, of course, I was usually 99% of the time the only black girl working there. We might have had one black girl come in and out, every now and then, but I was the only black girl working. And
did you help her? Did you help her?
I did.
Did you encourage her?
I fought for her. I did, girl. But I'm like, listen, we can't have no mess, But yeah, no, it was just, I was working my butt to the bone and doing everything I had to do and staying over, coming in early and making sure that, the office was going the way it should have been going, taking care of the patients. And then there was one person who came on the scene, and I guess she just didn't like who I was and what I brought to the table. I was asked to dumb myself down, literally, and she was a nurse practitioner. And I was like, I'm just a little old certified medical assistant. You want me to dumb myself down? Like,
wait, no. What happened now? So you got your NP.
Yes.
She was all like, "Hey, Ebony, can you dumb yourself down?"
No, my physician.
How did we get here?
My physician asked me to dumb myself down. Yeah, that we worked for. So we got there because there was a rival, and I'm guessing it was just a female thing. I had just been promoted to lead MA, or lead nurse, as we call it in the office. And she was new, and I was the only person who had been in this office for this amount of time, and knew what I had known, and knew how to work everything and do everything. And I guess it was just a challenge there for her or something. I don't know, but he did. He was like, "Hey, I think she's a little intimidated by you. Do you mind, just kind of, showing her the ropes and not making her feel so intimidated, blah blah." And I'm looking at him like, "Say what now?" And he's not white, he was of a different persuasion as well. But
what's the persuasion?
Turkish. Yeah.
So Turkish is a nationality. It can also be an ethnicity.
Okay.
His race is white because they're Caucasian.
Right. That's true. So,
I didn't have to get that technical. I just wanted to be petty.
No, thank you.
But
thank you.
Because that actually doesn't matter. But I did want to be petty. So just for the listeners, you're welcome.
So yeah, we got to that point.
You would have gotten that same splash if you were white.
No, I don't. I think.
Okay, so it wasn't a woman thing. So I want to make sure we put first and foremost racism. And there's always been professional, interpersonal backlash with kind of white women and black women, and it's usually always jealousy. And we can go back to the plantation for that too, if you want to.
We definitely can.
That's why I was all like, it's not a woman thing, because it's other women that work in your same profession. It was because you black, and that's because if you weren't black, and she was still jealous of the white woman that was intimidating. Do you think the physician would have fixed his lips to tell you to dumb yourself down?
No, he wouldn't have.
People only feel comfortable disrespecting black women.
They do.
# Malcolm X.
They do. That's true. It gets better. So she, I tried to befriend her and, make myself a little bit more accessible for her and whatever. And so, she then begins to make black jokes. Yeah, that was my favorite part. So, she made a black joke.
Samples. What were the black jokes? Oh, because racists do not be creative.
Oh, they don't. Not at all. Not at all. So she asked me if I had ever told my children that I would slap the black off of them.
Has she ever told her children that? I'm following your lead.
Right. So no. So
but why would you tell your children that you would slap them anyway? You're good. Okay, keep going.
Right. So we were ordering t-shirts, and I wanted a red t-shirt. Everybody else wanted the black one, and she was like, "Oh, Ebony, you should get the black one because it matches your skin color."
Now, when she said that, that sounds like that was in a room full of people.
Oh, it was. Oh,
what did everybody else say?
The first joke was too. Everybody just looked at me
and waited on you to respond.
Right.
To the okay.
Right. Everybody just looked like.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was really, that one kind of got me.
How did you get past that one, or was it just awkward?
It was awkward for me. She thought we were still cool. So the next joke, she said, yeah. So the next joke, we were in a group text, and one of our other friends was having a baby, and I was trying to plan the baby shower, and she said, "So is this going to be a ghetto fabulous wedding? I mean, a ghetto fabulous baby shower?" And I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm done with the black jokes. Like, I was like,
well, why is nobody else saying anything?
Oh,
where you work?
Why would they?
What do you mean? Why would they?
This was the second NP that I had experiences with.
So you're saying that why would everybody else shield or protect you from the anti-black racism of this one racist woman?
I can tell you why. Because nobody wanted to be involved. Nobody wanted to make it seem like she was racist, because that's what I got told. She wasn't racist. She was just yeah, those were the exact words I got told. Ebony, she's not racist. She took it as if you guys were at a slumber party, and she took it out of context. She had too much fun with you. We really don't believe she was.
What was the conversation to her?
Oh, I don't know.
Because there wasn't one.
Well, apparently there was. She came out the room crying or whatever, and
how did we get to the conversations? Did you complain?
Oh, I did. My husband told me to. He was like, you need to report it before she reports it, and it comes out a different way. Because I texted her that night, and I was like, hey, I don't understand why you think you can make black jokes. And we're literally texting, and she was like, I don't understand why I can't.
Because you're white.
That's exactly what I said. You're not black. Why would you make a black joke? I can't.
Because you're racist.
And I told her, I was like, if I made a white joke in an office full of white people, I'm pretty sure I would have been fired after it left my lips. Like, that wouldn't have flew. And I told my supervisor that. And they were like, well, literally my last straw was when my supervisor said, Ebony, unfortunately, this is what you and your children are going to have to deal with. I said, I'm 30-some years old. I've never had to deal with...
Good night.
Yes. She was like,
okay, Ebony, I was not ready for that. I was ready.
I wasn't either.
Else except that.
I wasn't either. She said, unfortunately, you and your daughter, you and your children are going to have to deal with this, because this is just how everything goes. And I was like, I'm 30-some years old. I've never had to deal with this, and my children better not have to deal with this. Like, that's the problem. It's okay that you think that I should have to deal with it, or I'm gonna have to. Like, and this is my supervisor telling me this. So yeah, it was pretty heated. It got bad. Like, it got to the point where my last straw was, she asked me.
There's another last straw?
Oh, there's another last straw. Yeah. Yeah. They removed me from that position. I didn't get demoted, quote unquote. I got to keep my pay, but I had to go back to being the lead tech of the office, because we couldn't work together in the same space.
And what was her punishment for it?
Nothing at all. Because, of course, she didn't do anything. So...
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it was very hurtful. I was so devastated, because I had been there way longer than her. Everybody knew me. Everybody knew that I wasn't this girl. I'm not that black girl who goes around thinking everybody's race. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why did
that black girl?
Sorry.
I'm not LaVida.
I don't think everybody's out to get me. I'm sorry. But no, I'm like, I was really, like, really hurt. I was really hurt. So my last straw was, everybody had left. We were training new people to come in. And of course, I'm the only person there who knows how to do everything. And I had to do a stress echo, which is when you put a patient on the treadmill and you run them to get their heart elevated and all this other stuff. And I normally man the computer and watch all the heart rate waves and make sure the patient is okay, make sure they're not going to pass out, because the physician is focusing on the computer as well, but they're making sure they're not seeing anything, to send them on over to the hospital, whatever. So, the last straw was she didn't want me in the room with her. She wanted me to stand outside the door. She wanted me to go in, hook up the patient, and, well, let me back up. The day that she needed me to come in there and do it, I was like, yeah, I'll go in and do it. It's fine. It had been months. I was over it. I was like, I got to do my job. Fine. I went in there and she was like, oh no, I refuse to do anything with her. So the new girl that I was supposed to be training, of course, they were like, well, she's just going to fumble through it. I said, well, if anything happens, I don't want to be included. I don't want to get in trouble. My supervisor was like, no, we know it's all her, blah, blah. Okay. That next Monday, they said, hey, Ebony, we got another treadmill. I said, well, I thought she didn't want me to be in the room with her. She doesn't. She wants you to hook up the patient and stand outside the door. I'm not going to no back door. Like, that's exactly what I felt like. I felt like they were saying, hey, Negro, stand outside the back kitchen door and we'll call you when we need you. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And so I didn't. And so they were like, well, we're just going to have to let you go. I said, well, that's fine with me.
Oh, you got fired from this position.
I got fired from my position.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So let me, with all compassion and understanding, unfortunately, I am so sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay. Let me be very clear. It's not okay. I am so sorry that you endured very classic racism that is incredibly stressful. It was really unfair. Was there any method of kind of redress for the firing? Were you able to kind of submit a claim? Did you think about any legal action against them?
Oh, I definitely did.
Okay, because I was just I know that even with me saying that, I recognize that that's still putting a lot more onus on you, and you've already been through so much. But I definitely want them all to burn. So because that's so stressful, and I was just just the idea, because you couldn't just be at the top of your game.
Mm-mm.
And I think that's what bothers me the most about racism. I know you keep thinking it's about women. White womanism is a whole other issue.
It is.
But it was definitely about another term, intersectionality. So that's when you got multiple identities,
mm-hmm.
and you can't separate them out. So it's not like it was because I'm Black, it's because I'm a woman. But there's a very particular type of misogynoir, another term for you, or hatred of Black women that Black women have to endure. So that's why I was if you were a Black man, you would have been treated differently. If you were a white woman, you would have been treated differently. So all those things kind of align together. You did the absolute right thing. I'm so glad you stepped away from that. But it still is, it's not right to ask that of Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't want to be mistreated? Well, then stop being able to feed your family. That's crazy.
Right. It was pretty rough.
And she gets to cry and gets to be the victim.
Oh, yeah.
White tears.
Definitely.
I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
It's okay. It was definitely an eye opener. It's not okay. It's not okay, but it was an eye opener for me. Definitely to let me know, I'm no different.
What's up?
Yep.
Why did you think you were different before?
I guess because I had never experienced it. And I thought that, I was one of the boys, I guess. If I'm just being honest.
With the compassion, because that still was a terrible experience, and I really wish that you didn't have to endure that. I really do, with all my heart. I will be petty and bring back, remember when you were in Memphis?
Yes.
Oh, yes, you did. We was at your mom's house, and I was getting tooted up about racism. I know you do.
I do.
Said, LaVida, my children are about to be teenagers, and we're trying to talk about sex. I don't want to hear about racism today.
He's so funny. Yes, I do. And I remember telling you we don't see color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I wish, honestly, real talk, because my niece and nephew were like that too. And I wish that that you still felt that way, because then you wouldn't have had to endure that. because that's what kills me about like people, usually white people, but also black people that hadn't had their racism experience
Mm-hmm.
yet, is that like, oh, I already we'll call it confirmation bias. I already don't want to believe you, and now like I didn't experience, so it couldn't happen. You know what? I've never been bitten by a tiger either, but I believe that they're dangerous.
Right.
I
Right.
do, so it's really like it's gaslighting, like making you feel like you're crazy, like you're the one flipping it on you. And I'm so sad about that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, it's not okay. It's not okay. Sorry. It's not okay, but it happened. I'm over it now. Now I'm over it. I'm able to talk about it, but it was really heartbreaking because I felt like this was my family. I felt like they would do anything for me. I would do anything for them. Like how could this happen? How could they allow it to happen? It's my thing, but it is what it is. So yes, I definitely got to partake of that, and I definitely want to keep my children from going through that, or help protect them when they do go through it, that they don't take it on as their fault you know
No, you're right. And it's
um
so funny because when you said that, I was just thinking about like how I think that's probably the hardest part about racism. There's a lot of regular systemic oppression, but I think the interpersonal is like I had a lot of white friends, but a lot of them didn't see me at all. And I didn't realize it until I did. And I remember being like, oh, wow, I've been your friend and you were never my
mm-mm,
friend.
nope.
And that like hurts a different way than work not promoting me because like it hurts
Mm-hmm.
different because I trusted you, but you still only saw black.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked one of my friends, actually, why didn't she speak up for me? And she said, well, Ebony, I just didn't want to. She said, I just got promoted because I got her promoted. She was my number two nurse, and she said I had just got promoted, and I didn't want to get into it with anything. I just wanted to stay neutral.
But you can be neutral. If you're neutral when I'm being oppressed, you're on the oppressor's side.
Right. That's true. And
And
you.
also, that's very interesting. I was reading, I like that book, White Privilege with Dr. Robin something or other. I'll tell you about it later. It
Okay.
was really, really good. And people didn't like it. They didn't like it because she was white. And I was like, shut up, it's good. But she said something really interesting. And she's it's not new, but she was talking about like racial comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of having white privilege is that you get to always be racially comfortable. If you're the only white person that walks into an all black room, all the black people need to accommodate you so that you're racially comfortable, no matter where you go in the world. So having to confront racism, especially their part in it, is very uncomfortable. And they'll do anything to get out of that. So that's number one. And then she also talked about white solidarity. And this was very interesting because one of the reasons that racism continues
Mm-hmm.
is I do believe that there are some awesome white folks that are fighting every day to
Oh
be
yeah.
anti-racist,
Definitely.
like six. Calm down. Like six. So, but anyway, when you speak up,
Mm-hmm.
because white solidarity is so important for keeping this system, this classism system, other white people will be like, you better shut up. Like, you will get, some people have actually lost their lives. Like, your family will stop talking to you, will be isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So the stakes are high. And I want to say they're high, but I want to be very clear. Your friend's stakes were not as high as yours, and she was in
Mm-mm.
a privileged position to speak up for you. So, yeah, the stakes are high that you might get iced out at the next meeting,
Right.
but other people get to live, so it
Right.
ain't equal. So,
No. No, it's
like,
not win at all. At all. So I love our conversation. I'm really enjoying it. So my let's see, last question is um how do you explain freedom today? I know you kind of touched on it. You said you don't know anybody that's free, but how do you feel about driving while black, or the no knock warrants, or the I can't breathe people? Or how do you feel? Do you feel like that's freedom? Do you feel like that's equality, inclusion? Like, what do you, diversity? Do you feel like it's just an attack on just those one type of person? Um, do you feel like we're free? Yes.
Who are the I can't breathe people? You got me there. I
I
was like,
got
oh,
you.
now there's some I can't breathe people. Just go ahead and say it, Ebony, because you're holding back. You want to talk about black radical, black power,
Yes.
fundamentalist, Afro. I have braids, everyone. You all can't see me. I'm wearing braids. They're very long. They're 28 inches.
Wait a minute
And they're
before we get
blonde
to
on the
that.
bottom, so I'm being blackety black, black,
Black.
black.
Oh my God. Hold on. Okay, so let's pause that question.
Okay.
My other question is, how do you feel about the statement "All lives matter"?
Oh, that's racist. What's the next question?
Are you just gonna leave it there?
Sure, I'll entertain it, but just because I love you.
Okay.
All lives matter is not actually a thing.
Right.
It was just a racist sentiment to dilute the message of Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Nobody screamed All Lives Matter when white terrorists stormed the Capitol. So, as you know, I'm in the D.C. area, so I was here that day when your white people were wilding out over here and being anti-democratic, and it was very frightening. We didn't know what was going to go on.
Right.
But thank God for white privilege, so they weren't, treated like regular peaceful black protesters. So when there was a white cop actually that did lose his life, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
No, excuse me. Was murdered due to those very particular events, because I want to be clear, it wasn't like leukemia. This could have been totally avoided. Right? So there was no blue lives matter, there was no white lives matter, that because nobody cared. They just don't want to hear you say Black Lives Matter. Because if you do say that Black Lives Matter, because the whole point is that we're treating Black lives as though they don't, then you'll have to examine yourself. You'll have to be like, oh, I thought I was this Christian with good morals.
Right.
But I was treating some of God's children unequally. So am I a bad person? And people always equate being racist with being bad. And I like to say, yeah, it is. Yep, you were. That's right. No cookies for you. But the reality is, good people, or people that other people deem to be good, do behave in racist ways and also perpetuate racist systems. Yes, you do, even if it's unintentional. That's why you have to be actively anti-racist. Hashtag Dr. Ibrahim Kendi. I've been listening to his podcast too, which has been amazing. It's really interesting. But All Lives Matter, it's not a thing, because it's kind of like, it wasn't a thing.
I know.
You don't even have to say it. Not you personally, but whenever people say it, it's just a retort. And remember how we said racists are not creative? Where was their slogan? They didn't have nothing. Black Lives Matter came up, and they're like, oh, let's just say, right. Yeah. So it was always just a retort. And same blue lives. There's no such thing as blue lives. It's a job that anybody can have, including black people. You just don't want to say that Black Lives Matter because you're a racist. You fundamentally believe that we're you know what? Can I give you my little theory for you?
Yes, you can.
I believe that white racists actually don't believe that black people are inferior. I believe that they're super afraid that we're mega superior. Because, hear me out, my nephew is 8 years old. I believe that I can beat him in a spelling test. Will I need to starve him the night before, make sure he doesn't get any sleep the night before, make sure that he can't read the words on the paper so that I can win if I didn't believe that he was actually better than me at it? No. So, you have put together the most oppressive systems in all of human history, starting from American chattel slavery And people sleep on Jim Crow, but Jim Crow was like the foundation for South Africa's apartheid system. All right, y'all, your white terrorists were wilding again. So your white terrorists from the Capitol, their grandfathers that are from Tennessee, right outside Chattanooga, where you are, right? The
Right.
Ku Klux Klan, and they were just the popular ones. So you got your little factions here and there
Uh-huh.
because it didn't matter because everybody was a police officer anyway. So like it didn't matter. So you just go run roughshod. So you can put together all of this, and we still are by far the most creative. I was listening to something else, like United States doesn't produce a lot of stuff, but you know what we do produce? Pop culture. And who's the kings and queens of that? The kings and queens. so
Yep.
like so you need us so much. We're the backbone of our society.
Mm-hmm.
You capitalism would be nothing without black people and without like having this weird stratification and classification and keeping certain people very, very oppressed and down.
Mm-hmm.
You secretly are worried that even if things were, remember, equitable,
Mm-hmm.
then you would far surpass my kids. You remember the scandal with Aunt Becky from Full House?
Yes, I do.
Yes, the white people were getting
Yes.
hikes. Did you watch the Netflix special?
No, I didn't. I need to watch that.
It's fascinating because I didn't expect the parents to say it on the little phone calls. They're like, "Hey, yeah, my child, they don't have the grades." And the key thing that just shocked me was when they were like, "But don't tell them that I helped them. They need to believe that they got in
Mhm.
on their own because that will destroy their self-esteem."
Of
So I
course.
didn't expect them to know that because these same inadequate, inept, less than mediocre folks went to school with me when I had to claw my way to the top. And you know what? They were like, "Oh, you got here because of affirmative action."
Why they got in there? Because they paid for it.
But the way it was, even if they were just paying for it, that would be one level. I mean, you got to watch the documentary.
I gotta watch
They
it.
were like paying other people to take the test for them. They were paying people to say that their regular child had learning disabilities, so they
Oh
would get
my
like 8 hours
gosh.
to take the same test. They were paying people to take pictures of your child who ain't never played a sport a day in their life on a little rowing boat, so they could get a rowing scholarship.
Oh my
To
god.
get like it was all sorts of craziness
Oh my
to get into
gosh.
these elite universities. And that's the first time I was kind of confronted with elite universities or elite education
Mhm.
as a privilege because it is. And I was like, oh, because you thought you got in there, you believed yourself to be better than other people when you're not. You just had the money.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, wow. And so I know I've gone on a tangent, but all lives matter. That's not a thing. You never ever have to say that. That's just like, you know, it's sunny sometimes when it's not raining. Yeah, it is. That's just the thing that just happens.
Right.
It is 82 degrees Fahrenheit in Alexandria, Virginia right now. Yeah, okay. But what now? If there's two houses and one is on fire, don't water both of them equally. That's not important. Right now, America is burning because you're killing your own people. And if any other nation did it, you'd be like, oh, Lord, we got to get the international community in on this. North Korea, oh, no, this is so terrible. They kill their own people. Oh, really? Really? Well, they can just
Right.
join the club.
Right. Right. Same boat. We're in the same boat. That's funny. Yes, I love it. I believe you too. I believe you too. I'm serious. Like I really do think they think we got mega powers or something. Like, you know, they got to go to bed extra early just to make up something to come up with something the next day. But anyway, that's that's what it is. So, are you going to comment on the freedom
Oh,
comments and
what
the
was the
I
question
can't
about?
breathe people?
What? No, no, because you didn't explain to me what the who the I can't breathe people are. One more time. Now I need to know what that is, and then I'll talk about freedom.
Okay, so they are the people who just they have to put themselves on top of other people. Like I guess our people in blue that we're trying to protect, or the girl on my job that we're trying to protect at all costs. Let's just give them a slap on the wrist. They're okay. Um,
So the I can't breathe people are the aggressors and
Yeah.
perpetuators of racism. Okay. The reason why I made you say that because I was like, are you making fun of the protesters?
No,
Like,
no, 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 no,
okay. I was
no.
like, all right now, Ebony. I was like, that right now.
Maybe I should have resaid it, remade it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying the people that are actually committing these hate crimes, which is what they are,
Right.
against black bodies.
Right.
Okay. How do I feel about them? Oh, they're terrible. Okay.
You're
Pray
so
for them.
funny. What about, but I mean, as far as freedom, like, do you feel like we have freedom? Do you feel
No.
like,
And so I'll go ahead and explain that. Now we'll
okay,
circle back to freedom.
okay.
When I told you I didn't know anybody that had freedom, like
Mm-hmm.
personally, and I was like, oh, you need a certain amount of money to have freedom. I think I'm going to take it back.
Okay.
I don't think anybody has any freedom
Okay.
as long as anybody else is oppressed. Hard stop. Because at first, even as we were talking, I was like, yeah, I know like the people that you can see like running away from state sanctioned violence, like me, like brothers, sisters, people of color, women of color, indigenous folks,
Mm-hmm.
like people with disabilities, like all those being oppressed and not free. The people at the quote unquote top of the food chain, they're
Right.
not free either. Because how I talked about that white solidarity and white comfort, you still have to act very specifically to keep this racial order, this racial hierarchy going. And
Okay.
if you have to be doing something in a systemic way, then you're not free either.
I like that.
Like the Queen of England, right?
Right.
Who there are rules that you can't touch her. Remember when Michelle Obama like put her hand on her back for the picture? People were like, oh, and I was just like, got a black princess now. Making the Markle
Right.
out, sis. But my point is like, even the royals, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they left, and because they still couldn't do stuff. Megan
Right.
talked about it a little bit, right? So and they're the ones that have been like, we're making all this good money off of exporting colonialism, and we keep on stealing and keeping the stolen stuff. That killed me. But anyway, because if white people got one thing, they got audacity.
That's true.
So they still were not free because they couldn't do whatever they wanted. And I think that being able to do there now, of course, there's different kinds and levels. Like, are you talking about Christian freedom? Because I learned what that was more recently, and that's kind of like the freedom to trust that God is going to save you. It does not mean that you're going to be out here just sinning all willy nilly. But
Right.
I remember my friend, she's Hindu, we're so close, but she's a vegetarian. And when we would go out to restaurants, and she would ask like the waiters 2, 3, 4 times, is this vegetarian? Is it vegetarian? And like everybody at the table would be like, oh, rolling their eyes and stuff. Like they already said it. But she was always so worried because she didn't want to make a misstep for her particular religion, even though she wasn't that religious. But this particular thing, like I have to be like do it perfectly this way. Whereas Christian freedom is filled with lots of grace, lots of mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Not, God is not mocked. So, but I'm just saying, like, I know that I can still come to the throne and I don't have to be like, okay, am I sitting up straight? Okay, that's the exact right thing. Okay, like, because I
Yeah.
know about like this endless, like, boundless, unconditional love of the Father. So, like, that's something a little bit different. But I think that's not what she was talking about.
No, it's not. But that's okay. No, freedom as far as, like I said, driving while black, or freedom from the I can't breathe people, or freedom from, like
Call them that.
you said.
Call them white racist oppressors.
Sorry.
Because
The
the I can't breathe
aggressors.
people are the ones that were shouting it to like bring awareness
I
to
got you.
all the
Okay.
times police have used illegal chokeholds
Yes,
to kill blacks.
you're right. So yes, so the aggressors, the racist people, do we have freedom to, I'm worried about my kids when they go running up and down the street. Like I just found out this week or last week that my son goes jogging by himself, and that terrified me. And I was like,
Exercise?
oh
That's
yeah.
disgusting.
No, my kids definitely work out, but it terrified me to think that you running up and down the street by yourself, because we live in an all white neighborhood, and I'm like, did you notice that I just got quiet when I said that?
You did. So you're not free, okay?
No, I'm not. But
I didn't even know you lived in an all-white neighborhood.
yeah, we typically do.
Did y'all move?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we
To
did.
the old house.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
like,
That was an all black neighborhood. That was an all black neighborhood.
oh, okay. I was like, that's not how eyeballs work, Ebony.
No,
And so you moved, and now this new house is in an all-white neighborhood.
it is all the
Okay,
way
all right.
around. Like, I think I may know where,
Why
like,
would you move to an all-white neighborhood? That sounds very unsafe.
you're so silly. It was not. I mean, it's a really great area actually, but
So why are
we
you
didn't
worried
do
about
it.
your son jogging?
I mean, because there's still a lot of stuff going on. I don't know everybody who lives on our street or in our area. Like, we live
It's a
like,
great area.
it is a great area. Probably because
Great
there are like
area.
no black people to make crime and all this other stuff. But I'm just joking. Just joking. Just joking. But no, like, so our street starts and it goes around, but there's also a cove inside of our street. So I don't know how that works, but but our street is a separate street, and then it's like connected to all the other neighborhoods. So like you can jog and just keep jogging and come all the way back home, but it still worried me, and I was just kind of like, no,
Have you
I
had to
mean,
talk?
we did. We had to talk. We had to talk. I mean, we're not free, and I definitely don't feel like I have freedom in my neighborhood. I mean, I know, like, how you're supposed to know your four neighbors or whatever. Like, I know people, but
Oh,
you don't know your
uh,
neighbors.
I mean, a little bit, but the one neighbor actually across the street, they moved in during COVID, so we did a little.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, definitely. But no, like, any given day, you may see me and my neighbors out in the middle of the street talking, hanging out. I may be at their house or, whatever. Actually, one of my friends that I used to work with, her in-laws,
At that old job?
yeah, but she wasn't like, no, no, no. She wasn't, she was a contractor with us. She was one of the
All
girls who
right
came
now.
in and did the stuff. It's so silly. But yeah, so her in-laws stay across the street. But, we know our neighbors from side to side and front to back. But, um, I still don't feel safe. My kids told me the girls were walking the dogs the other day, and she said one of our neighbors came out and said, "Hey, make sure your dog doesn't poop in my yard." Well, this is the same neighbor who has. Don't say anything. I know you are, but it's our same neighbor that has like a Biden poster in his yard and Trump poster, and I think like I make sure I get it right. I think
Tell
Trump.
it right.
I know. I'm trying to get the image right. I think Trump is pooping on Biden or something like that. Or
Oh, okay, okay. So
yeah,
it's
like
a
he has.
Trump supporter.
Yeah, he's a Trump supporter, and he has like his pants pulled down. It was stupid. So I was like, wait, what? Like, as many times as me and my husband have walked the dogs with the kids, like he's never came out and said anything to us. So I was like, why is he coming out talking to my kids? So then the other day they came home and they were like, oh, he came out again and he said something, and Essence was like, oh, I think he's a really nice guy. And I'm thinking,
Did you go to the door?
we did not.
Oh, you went.
I did
Okay, well, I
not.
guess let me get on Expedia.
Right, but
Because I was
no.
like, go ahead and say it to my face. Say it with your chest. You are picking on young black girls
Mhm.
because you're punching down and you have power and authority as an adult.
Right,
Say it to my face.
right. So no, we
And I'm
didn't.
going to leave some poo right here.
Right, right.
Will it be the
No.
dog's poo? Will it be my poo?
You can mail that out now, right? Did you know
Male
that?
dog poo?
No, you can mail poop to people. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
But then, like, do I need to, like, lick the envelope?
No, no, no. Like you put in the order. No, like there's a website that you can go on and you put in an order to like send people poop, and like they'll mail it and send it for you. Anyway, that's just a side note that I found out about.
That was a side note. But yeah, that person was punching down because they were young black girls.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, yeah. So what was the conversation you had with your children since you didn't set it off with the neighbor? And I definitely would have, because he's not going to move.
No, he's not. He's
I would
not
have
gonna
been like
move.
leaning right on the Trump sign. Like, what you say now? Oh, this.
We just.
Why do you still have this up? Do we have any HOA fees or something? Because the election is over.
It is way past over.
So I think that actually, so if you mind your business, I will mind mine.
Right.
I would have set it off. Because what's he gonna do?
I don't know.
He just he would have never, you know what I'm telling you? I've had so many experiences like this, Ebony, when a grown person, because he's so fearful, just go ahead. I would have even, you could bring Daryl if you want to, be like, hi, how you doing? My daughter said you had a lot to say to her. Like, people get really nervous when they have to, like, say
repeat what they say
out loud.
Right.
Like, oh, no, we're not going anywhere. No, we're fine. We can wait till you get your thoughts together and put my foot right in the door. Okay, so if you don't have anything to say now, then you shouldn't have anything to say to my baby.
That's true. They shouldn't have. He shouldn't have anything to say.
All right.
So silly. I didn't take you as an aggressor, LaVida. Where is this person being?
Aggressive. I don't think I'm aggressive.
Okay.
I think that he was aggressive.
He was.
And I think that I need to match the energy because they're our little girls.
Yeah.
And they are worthy and deserving of enthusiastic protection.
Right. Gotcha. I love it. Yeah. But no, I just talked to the boys and, I talked to Darian and told him, about, I don't remember his name, the guy that was jogging in his own neighborhood and got shot down.
Aubrey.
Yes, Ahmaud Aubrey. I told him about him and I just told him,
You told him about him?
I did.
But you had to? Like, he didn't know before?
No. Surprisingly, okay, so here are the tables. They're going to turn. Surprisingly, my older two children are a lot like me, and my baby two are a lot like you. Like, Bishop, he was all into the news during the COVID and during the Black Lives Matter. Like, his teacher emailed me and she was like, hey, your son is having some very surprising emails to his other friends, because they monitor their computers is really why they give them computers from school, but they monitor the stuff that's going in and out. And so apparently he was like emailing another kid about taking his own life because he was so afraid of the Black Lives Matter and everybody rioting. And Bishop
emailed random child. What race is this random child?
Probably black. He doesn't really.
Bishop emailed this black boy, probably. It's not a girl because it'd get weird. And Bishop told black child that Bishop wants to take Bishop's life.
Mm-hmm. Oh. He was terrified. He didn't know what. Yeah, like, and I didn't even know he was watching it. And I'm like, dude, like,
girl, racism is the ocean and we all fish, Ebony.
That's true.
There's no hiding.
But my older two didn't. Like, they're my more Caucasian lover for children, I guess. I don't know how to say it. Like, they don't, I don't know. They just, they're oblivious to what's going on in our culture. So.
I guess the conversation is then, because I understand it's kind of exhausting and I don't want to put that on children to be like, oh, always stay ready so you got to get ready. It's not that. It's just that, like, I would just share with them, this is how it is, because I think the shock and surprise of it all is the worst. Definitely.
And that's what we did. We talked to him. We told him about the young guy and we told him everything. And I don't really think he got it because my oldest is very naive and he just,
You'll never get it until you do.
That's true. So, he just, yeah. But anyway, so, no, yeah, we had to talk with them, told them to be safe. I told them, whenever you leave the house, make sure y'all take a picture, send me the picture so I know exactly what you're wearing. Like, I know, it's just terrifying for me. Like,
so then your children aren't free?
No, definitely not. No. But how do you get free? Like you said, we're not free.
Revolution. Is that what you want to be on? Yes, that's right, everyone. Okay, white people hang up now. Click. Okay, everybody else get armed. Revolution. Take it back. You can't be asking people for freedom. If I have to ask you for freedom, then I'm not really free. Let's take it.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. If it was us out there, I think, and I was really afraid that we were going towards the Jim Crow law or whatever. Like, I was like terrified that here we go, we're gonna shut down the whole country, everybody's gonna be on lockdown, they're only gonna let out like 1 or 2 people to go to the store, like during the pandemic, because during the pandemic,
you thought it was gonna be like Jim Crow.
Somebody mentioned that to me, and I was like, the Jim Crow laws, like when they
A white
were.
person probably mentioned that to you.
You said a
Because it
what?
had to be someone with no knowledge of Jim Crow laws.
Oh, probably was.
Okay. I was like,
But yeah, just a systematic world, like I don't know. It was a lot going on, and my thing was I wasn't even really afraid of the pandemic. I guess because I had to work through the whole thing, but I wasn't afraid of the pandemic. I was more afraid of everything else that was going on, and just trying
such
to
as,
with all the rioting and with all of
stop.
the.
I'm going to interrupt you. I
Okay.
don't usually like to interrupt black women, but I have to. The only rioting I saw was January 6th at the Capitol because your white terrorists were wiling out. The other items that I saw were freedom fights
Mm-hmm.
and other types of social justice clashes with the system that inequitably met them with more violence.
Right.
There were black people marching, singing, a lot of taking pictures because that's how y'all Gen Z do things.
We're the
Lots,
same.
lots of Twitter fingers going,
Right.
and then the police were just like, "You want us to stop killing black people? Take this tear
Right.
gas, take these rubber bullets." And
Right.
I was like, "Why do you even need rubber bullets? Think about it. Why are rubber bullets a thing?"
Right. So yeah, you're right. So let me rephrase that. So protesters,
Or freedom
or
fights.
freedom fights. I was just kind of worried about the retaliation of everything. Like it was just crazy, And like I said, nothing is new under the sun. This has been going on for years before we were even thought of. But now to have my children involved and to have to explain to them why they can't, walk the dogs at a certain time of the day, or why they can't go jogging alone up the street by themselves, like it's just, yeah, no, we're not free. We're not free.
So what you gonna? Well, now
Even if I lived
you
in an
can't.
all black neighborhood, my kids still wouldn't go jogging up the street by themselves.
They do now. But okay, just kidding.
So
No,
silly.
I mean, and I'm laughing about it because jogging is so innocuous. It's not even like, oh, let me slip up some drugs or something. Like, no, it's generally seen as good, endorphins, and
Right.
and it all. I've got it. I guess my question for you though, as a mom, is like, what's the level? Because I know that you realized years ago you can't protect them from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't protect them from heartbreak, you can't protect them from disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so at this type of freedom, because there's this kind of two schools of thought, right? You got your Du Bois folks, and I think it's the Booker T. Washington folks, or the Malcolm X, Martin Luther King.
Right.
See how he only talk about dudes, but whatever. Van Hamer, Scott her. But you got the two schools of thought. You got the one school of thought where, I'm not gonna call it any names, but it's not the one that I'm in.
Okay.
But they're the ones that are like, when the police pull you over, be very, very polite. Put your hands at 10 and 2.
Okay.
Already have your wallet out. Don't reach for your wallet.
That's the one
Let
that
them
I'm
know.
in.
I've already walked you around the neighborhood. I've
Mm-hmm.
taken you to the local police precinct so they can see that you're my boy and that you're an honor roll student, and girls get pulled over too.
Mm-hmm.
But I've already done everything. Make sure you, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, comply, and then just make it home, and then we'll deal with it that way.
That's the
Got
group
that
I'm in.
camp.
Yeah.
Got the other camp that's like, disrespect ain't illegal.
But they don't bear the disrespect.
Disrespect is not illegal. Our dear sis Sandra Bland, say her name too. They said she was smoking a cigarette and sassing them when they pulled her over. Smoking a
Yes.
cigarette for grown people ain't illegal.
No, it's not.
And she did. That's what I'm saying. So because you can do all of those things, because that's where we talk about respectability politics, and still get murdered because of racism and racist policing that evolved from slave patrols. So so that's why I was like, are you in the camp where you're like, look, do the best you can, get the badge, whatever, or are you in the camp Make sure you do a little WB frog tap dance at the end.
No,
Just
no, no,
come
no.
home to me, baby.
No, yeah, we're definitely in the one where you comply, make it home, keep your hands out the window, don't reach for nothing, just make it home. Yeah, no, we're not
I
taking no chances.
understand.
I'm not taking no chances. But yeah, so it is what it is.
Stop
Hopefully,
saying that. It's not is what it is, because that tells you revolution is coming.
it is, and I'm
And
with
it's not
you.
okay that your racist
It's not.
workplace squeezed you out.
It's
So
not.
there.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Well, you guys, this is LaVida Johnson, my cousin, my roadie now. We've talked more now since we've been grown, I think, than we ever did. Even though we used to hang out at Aunt Ruby's Beauty Shop all the time when I used to get my hair done. But
And run away from the curling irons.
yes, oh my God, yeah, and get fussed at. But yes. So I have enjoyed this so much, LaVida. Can you please let my viewers know your podcast and where you're located?
Yeah, so thank you. I mean, I've enjoyed myself too, and I feel like this has been really awesome. But I also have a podcast called Courage of Conviction, and that's where we talk about the different mental gymnastics that people do to excuse people that we like from doing the wrong things that they did. But it's not all negative. It's a lot of fun. So you can find me wherever you get your podcast. Again, at Courage of Conviction. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Real LaVida J. And I'm also on Facebook at Courage of Conviction. That's my own page there. And I'm on Twitter as well.
Well, thank you, LaVida. You
Thanks,
guys,
Ebony.
This has been fun, and I enjoyed LaVida. I enjoyed having this conversation with you. I enjoyed your presence, your company. This wraps up our episode of Freedom versus Equality. I have learned so much. I have laughed. I have definitely been able to share my experiences, and I hope you guys got a lot out of my view as well as LaVida's view, because this is what she does physically for a living. So I'm just proud that she's also my cousin, because she really opened my eyes to a lot of different things, and I hope you guys got the same as well. So you guys know the drill. Like, share, comment. Please let me know if there's anything that you guys have questions about. Leave me a comment on any platform. There's always a little box at the bottom that says comment. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Also, check out the video on YouTube that we did as well. A live video for tonight. Love you guys, and I will see you next Tuesday.